Good evening, Internet. My name is Michael, and I'm here to review some stuff for you. Tonight, we're going to take a look at the brand new Hobbit movie. Obviously, I don't have a box to show you because it's still in the theaters right now. I just got back from watching it, and I want to review it and tell you about it. I'll try to be a spoiler-free review for you, so you don't have to worry. I might have some spoilers at the end of the review, but I'll let you know before I get into it. First things first, I do need to do a little bit of nitpicking on this movie. I actually have read the Hobbit book a long time ago, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And while I do thoroughly enjoy this movie, the concept of adapting the book into a movie, if you just stick with the core materials of the book itself, it doesn't need to be a trilogy. It doesn't even need to be two movies. Actually, at 3 hours, you could do a very good Hobbit movie with just the stuff from the book, and it'd be good. But putting that aside, this is a Peter Jackson Hobbit movie. His adaptations of stuff, as you know, like the Lord of the Rings, really long. But unlike Lord of the Rings, where he took out stuff, this one he adds a lot. And I do mean a lot. So anyway, about Peter Jackson's interpretation of The Hobbit and this movie. Well, it's good. It's really, really good. As long as you don't think too much about the original source material and expect it to follow it exactly, it's actually a pretty good movie. It follows the story of the Hobbit. It starts off actually, it has old Bilbo. He's like writing his adventures out for Frodo, and Frodo makes a cameo appearance in the very beginning. Asks him about the story, and he's writing it down for him. And anyway, the story is good. The action, where there's action's really good. The special effects are cool. The extra stuff they put in to make it longer actually works. It works pretty well. The characters. The dwarves are all awesome. Thorin Oakenshield, the dwarf king under the mountain guy, he's pretty badass, and he's a really cool character. Bilbo is really cool. Gandalf again is great. Anyway, so yeah, it's a good movie. The good things about it is that it's funny. For one, it's really, really funny. There's a lot of jokes and stuff in this movie that fit it really well and are quite humorous. I won't spoil any of that stuff. Another thing that's really good about this movie, especially over Lord of the Rings, is that Gandalf actually does magic. I mean, he does a lot of magic. He does more magic in this movie than he did in like all of the Lord of the Rings movies combined. And it actually follows the stuff he does in the books, and it's really, really cool. The villain, they added Radagast the Brown in this movie, and he looks really weird. He has like a hat with, well, I don't want to ruin it, but he's a forest wizard, so he's quirky and stuff, and the parts he's in are actually very entertaining. And I will say this though, his mode of transportation is great. He rides around on a dog sled, except instead of dogs, it's pulled by rabbits. Yeah, that's right, rabbits. The villains in this movie, the villains are really good. There's the classic scene with the trolls. They actually have talking trolls, and they're quite humorous and great. They do some stuff with the Necromancer, the new stuff. That was interesting. It's much more of a teaser, though, to hint about, the next couple of movies. And they also have, the Goblin King. The Goblin King was like my favorite part of the movie. They go into like the giant Goblin Kingdom where they're trapped by the goblins, and the Goblin King shows up. And well, you just got to see it to believe it. He's great. What else? Oh yeah, the albino orc guy. They introduced some like new backstory with Thorin, and about like this white orc. This really big white orc with one hand is chasing him, and he's like the main foil of this movie. He's the guy chasing him throughout the entire movie. And for what he is, he's not bad. He's also really one-dimensional, though. It's just he just really hates Thorin and wants to kill him. That's it. There's nothing else to him. Anyway, all that aside, this movie's really, really good, and I definitely give it a 5, and I highly recommend you watch it. So that's it for the spoiler-free section. If you don't want any more spoilers, turn it off now, and I'll see you next time. If you do want some spoilers, I got some stuff I kind of dislike about this movie a lot. In general, this movie's really, really good, but the dwarves run away way too much. They run away from everything in this movie, and they run away from stuff they just shouldn't run away from. It's like, I know in the books they run away a lot, but the stuff they run away from is like, overwhelming hordes of stuff. This movie, not so much. Like the classic scene with the 3 trolls. I can't remember correct all in the book, but I think in the movie, the trolls just kind of capture them all. Or trick them or something. I can't remember exactly what it is. But in this movie, the dwarves fight the trolls, and they hold their own. And they're winning. The only reason they get caught by the trolls is because the trolls do a hostage situation with Bilbo. Which, okay, that works. That makes the dwarves, badass, and leads into, Gandalf showing up and Rays of the Sun, causing the trolls to turn to stone and stuff. But there's this group of orcs led by the main villain of this movie, the White Orc, on a bunch of wargs. And every time they run into these guys, the dwarves run away. Gandalf's always like, run away! And they run away. However, when they actually fight them, they hold their own quite well. If they actually just fought the orcs, and it's not like hundreds of orcs, or even 20 orcs. It's more like 5. 5 orcs and like maybe 12 or 15 wargs. And the wargs are a lot more badass than the wargs in Lord of the Rings, but still, you got 13 dwarves and Gandalf. They should be able to fight these guys off. And every time they do fight, they actually kick ass. But no. They always run away. And that just gets really, really old, really, really quick. The part where they're in Goblin Town, yeah, they run away because there's hundreds and hundreds of goblins. That makes perfect sense. I'm cool with that. But the roving band of orcs they keep running away from is just sad. And the climax of the movie is really sad because you got like 5 orcs, maybe 10 or 12 wargs, and they climb the trees, and they're stuck in the trees because they ran away. Again, if they just stood and fought, they probably would have been okay, or at least done something. But nope, just run away. And then Thorin goes after the albino orc at the end, and big showdown. It's supposed to be great, and it would have been great if like Thorin had killed the guy and the movie had ended there. But no, Thorin gets his ass kicked, and he's down on the ground, and they're all in the tree, and who comes to the rescue? Bilbo. Not any of the other dwarves. One dwarf starts to make a move, but the tree starts snapping, so he stops. Okay, I can get that. Maybe Bilbo's the only one that can go there and try to help. Except he's not, because right after Bilbo gets his ass kicked, all the other dwarves jump off the tree to try to save the day. So, yeah, the characterization of that, it's really forced that Bilbo was the only one to go try to save the king. Other than that, there's also the relationship between Thorin and Bilbo. Thorin's always ragging on Bilbo, and Bilbo's always kind of like, oh, I want to go home. Thorin's like, oh, you should go home. Until the end when they, kiss and make up, basically. Total bromance, I guess, is what, I don't know, it's just kind of sad. It works fairly well, but it's kind of forced in most of the movie with the whole, go home, Bilbo. Okay. Oh no, goblins. But the Goblin King. You gotta love the Goblin King. The Goblin King, well worth just watching the movie for that. Anyway, that's all I have to really say about this movie. Again, I give it a 5. I highly recommend you watch it. Just try not to think too much about the actual book while you're watching it, because it can kind of ruin it, some of the stuff, especially the extra stuff for you. Anyway, that's all I have to say for this time, and stay tuned for next time when I'll have a Christmas special.